Good afternoon. The Memphis and Shelby County Board of Adjustment is hereby called to order for its regularly scheduled meeting of July 29th, 2026. My name is Tim Rainey. I'm chairman of the board. Mr. Jeffrey Penzis serves as secretary of the board. Mr. Penzis, may I get a roll call, please?
Mr. Campbell.
Present.
Mr. Claybrook.
Here.
Ms. Conrad.
Here.
Mr. Love.
Here.
Vice Chair Savage Selden.
Present.
And Chair Rainey.
Here.
We have a quorum.
All right, thank you. The Memphis and Shelby County Board of Adjustment is the oldest appointed governmental body in Memphis and Shelby County. We were established in 1925. The board hears appeals from the administration of the zoning ordinance, requests for variances from the zoning ordinance, and other requests articulated by local zoning laws adopted pursuant to the enabling legislation. The 8 members of the board are appointed, 4 by the mayor of Memphis and 4 by the mayor of Shelby County, with confirmation by the Memphis City Council or Shelby County Board of Commissioners. We serve without remuneration. This time, I'd like to swear in the staff. You may remain seated. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? All right, thank you. And right now, if we can get a motion to approve the minutes from last month's meeting.
So moved.
Second. Okay, are there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes. Mr. Secretary, if you could provide us with a secretary's report, if there is one this month, and then explain the procedure for today's meeting.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. As for the Secretary's report, there are no announcements this afternoon. The procedure for this meeting will be as follows. I will introduce each case as listed on the agenda. Copies of the agenda can be found on the front podium. For each case, the planner with the Division of Planning Development will give a presentation. At the conclusion of the staff presentation, the applicant will have 5 minutes to present his or her case. After the applicant's presentation, those speakers in support will have a total of 5 minutes, then those speakers in opposition will have a total of 10 minutes, and then finally the applicant will have 2 minutes to provide rebuttal. These times do not include time for questions from and answers to members of the board. The chairman may provide additional time provided both sides are given an equal amount of additional time. All parties who wish to provide testimony to the board will be sworn in by the chairman. If a member of the audience wishes to provide testimony in support of or in opposition to a particular case on today's agenda, he or she will need to fill out a speaker's card for the record. Speaker's cards are available at the front podium. Once filled out, speaker's cards can be submitted to any DPD staff member at the left podium. We do not need speaker's cards from the applicant since their names are already part of the record. After all parties have been heard, the board will close the public hearing, make a motion, and then deliberate on the case. If the applicant or any speaker would like to be heard after the conclusion of the public hearing, or if a board member wishes to hear additional testimony from any party, a 2/3 vote is required to reopen the public hearing pursuant to the board's rules of procedure. Please note that once the public hearing is reopened, both the applicant and opposition will be allowed to provide additional testimony and/or rebuttal. All motions by this board will be made in the affirmative. The private acts governing the board require the affirmative vote of at least 5 members to approve an application, regardless of the number of board members present. The board may also vote to hold an application for a period not to exceed 3 months with the consent of the applicant, or 1 month without the consent of the applicant. All section numbers that we refer to come from the Memphis and Shelby County Unified Development Code, or the UDC, which was adopted by the Memphis City Council and Shelby County Board of Commissioners in August of 2010 and became effective on January 1st, 2011. I will introduce the entire UDC and make it part of today's record, thus dispensing with the reading of individual sections. The board is vested with the power to act on these cases before us today under the provisions of Chapter 9.22 of the UDC. Mr. Chairman, I submit that all cases have been filed in proper order, all applicants have been notified of this hearing, and all notice requirements have been fulfilled as required by the UDC.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. At this point, the board will establish a consent agenda. To establish the consent agenda, the secretary will call out each eligible case. If any member of this audience, staff, or board member objects to a case being placed on the consent agenda, he or she should do so by a show of hands when the secretary reads that case. Once the consent agenda is established, the board will vote on all cases placed on the consent agenda as a whole, will not hold individual public hearings on those cases. Mr. Secretary, which items on our agenda are able to be placed on the consent agenda this month?
First, I would just like to note that items number 4 and 5 have been withdrawn by the applicant.
Okay, thank you.
Item number 1, BOA 2026-38 at 832 South Greer Street as a hold for 1 month. Item number 3, BOA 2026-44 at 3220 East Shelby Drive as approval with conditions. Item number 6, BOA 2026-51 at 391 Ashland Street as approval with conditions. Item number 7, BOA 2026-53 at 1639 Montserrat Street as approval with conditions. Item number 8, BOA 2026-54 at 2954 Broad Avenue as approval with conditions. Item number 9, BOA 2026-55 at 612 South Cooper Street as approval with conditions. Item number 10, BOA 2026-57 at 758, 774, and 776 Bullington Avenue as a hold for 1 month. And lastly, item number 11, BOA 2026-58 at 9580 Macon Road as approval with conditions.
Okay, thank you. If we could get a motion to approve the consent agenda as established by the secretary, which is item 1 is a hold, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9 is approval with conditions, 10 is a hold, and 11 approval with conditions.
So moved.
Second.
All right, I want to remind the board that by voting on the consent agenda, he or she affirms that he or she has read the staff report and is in full agreement with the conditions. Mr. Secretary, may I get a roll call, please?
Mr. Campbell,
Yes.
Mr. Claybrook,
Yes.
Ms. Conrad,
Yes.
Mr. Love,
Yes.
Vice Chair Savage Sheldon.
Yes, I find that the standards of the UDC of 9.22.6 are being met and will not be unduly detrimental to the properties in the vicinity.
And Chair Rainey.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, so if you're here for any of those cases, I think that's every case but number 2, you've either been approved or held as requested. Mr. Secretary, will you call the first case we're going to hear today?
Item number 2, BOA 2026-39 at 3251 Seminole Road.
All right. I see the applicant coming forward. Is there, I have some, Mr. Ray in opposition? Miss Ray, I'm sorry. If you'll go ahead and come, you can come down and sit near the front too, and we'll get to it. But what we'll do is we're going to hear from Ms. Christian first, and then we'll move to have Ms. Reeves talk to us. All right, and we can, whenever you're ready, we can do the staff report.
Good afternoon. Chloe Christian with DPD. I'll be presenting this case. It's record number BOA 2026-0039. The applicant is Rodney Bell, and he's represented by Cindy Reeves. This property is located at 3251 Seminole Road. And there are 2 requests to be considered today related to an accessory dwelling unit. One is to allow an ADU, or 2 ADUs actually, that exceed the maximum permitted floor area. And then the second request is the fact that they are taller than the principal structure. Here's a location map of the property. It's located within the I-40 loop. And just for a brief introduction of the request, as I mentioned, there are 2 requests that we're considering today, one related to floor area and one related to height. This is a retroactive request, so the structure has already been built. The building permit was issued July of last year in error. And consequently, an enforcement case was started in January of this year for an ADU violation. Staff, we have recommended approval of the requests with conditions related to mostly the fact that this lot is unique in the sense that it is located on the corner of the street and it has a larger amount of street frontage and square footage than other lots on Seminole Road. Here's a vicinity map of the subject property and the land use map. The surrounding land uses are predominantly single family with some multifamily sprinkled in and some commercial and office uses along Park to the north. Here are the enforcement photos of the subject property. As you can see, The accessory dwelling unit is the two-story structure to the rear of the one-story structure. And I will note that in this construction, each floor is a separate unit. So there are two units that have been built. Here's the site plan survey submitted by the applicant. So the ground floor area of the ADU is 1,239 square feet, which does exceed the maximum required by 689 square feet in the code. This is the site plan that was actually submitted and approved for the building permit. And I will just note that although this permit was issued in error, as you can see, it does say proposed two-story structure, and this is not allowed per the code. The structure cannot be taller than the principal structure. The only exception would be if the first story was used as a garage or something like that, is the only time usually where two-story ADUs are allowed. And again, they can't be taller than the principal structure. However, I just want to point out that what was actually constructed still does not match the permit that was approved. What was built was larger than the building permit was approved for, almost double the size, as you can see in the floor area. Here are the elevations that were submitted with this request. So as I mentioned, the applicant is seeking retroactive approval for the construction of a two-story, two-unit accessory dwelling structure. The permit was issued in error, and given the unique circumstance and condition of the property, we do recommend approval with conditions of this request. As far as the conditions go, one of them is related to the coated chain link fence that surrounds the property. As you can see in these photos, chain link fencing is not allowed in residential districts, so we do have a condition that would require this fence to be brought into compliance with the code, either replaced or built as a part of an evergreen landscaping system. And one of the other conditions is related to the curb cut that was constructed to access the ADU. As it currently stands, there's no front yard parking is not allowed, or any parking in between the right-of-way or any structure. So we do have a condition that would require there to be some solution and adjustment made to the site plan in terms of that access point. And then the first condition is that no more than 3 dwelling units shall be permitted on the subject property. And that concludes my presentation, but I'm happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Are there any questions for staff? All right, seeing none. Ms. Reeves, do you want to come talk to us?
We need to be sworn in.
Yeah.
Cindy Reeves, SR Consulting, 5909 Shelby Oaks Drive, Suite 200.
Rodney Bell, Older Construction.
And your address?
I'm sorry. It is,
Yours.
5281 Horn Lake Road.
Okay, perfect. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so be God?
Yes, sir.
Okay, go ahead and share with us.
We are in agreement with staff. This was definitely not intentionally done. There is a need for housing in this area, and my client just saw this as an opportunity because the lot was so large that it did suit both of the units well, he thought, and did not do this intentionally. And we'd like to hear from the opposition to see what their issues are, but the temporary fencing is there to keep the site secure.
Okay, so the fence was, okay, gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, any questions for the applicant? Okay, we'll reserve time for you.
Thank you.
And is there anyone else here in support? Okay, Ms. Ray, if you want to come up and give your name and address for the record.
Good afternoon. My name is Lavelle Ray. My address is 3216 Carrington Road, 38111.
Perfect. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so be God?
I do.
Okay, go ahead and share with us.
The issue that I have, looking at the photos, it's one thing that jumps out is the parking. Because the way it looks now, I only see 2 parking pads there, and the way that it's built, it's like it's every inch used. You will have to have a very compact car. If you put a mid-size sedan there, it's gonna be hanging out in the driveway. Someone will be walking, they'll have to get off the sidewalk, get in the street, come back around the cars, get back on the sidewalk. We have children in that neighborhood across the street, right behind this dwelling. There's children. I'm concerned about, it's every inch, it looks like it's every inch that's been used for this lot. I'm all for innovative, continuous improvement, but this is not right. I'm not saying it needs to be either or. Take something down or build something up. Make it even or take it down. Something needs to go because this is not right for that lot. This is not right for that neighborhood because the parking is going to be dangerous. It's going to be a nightmare.
And what you're saying is because when a car pulls in, they'll be over the sidewalk?
Yes, you're looking at, that's why I took that picture. On the sidewalk, right, because I remember the original house. I've been out there many, many, many years, like 40 years. I remember the house well. It was a detached garage with 2 parking pads. Those pads are from the original house over 40 years ago.
Okay.
It's not going to make it with the way it's crammed. It's crammed.
Ms. Christian, could you show us the site plan again? So where is the park, like looking at this, with Seminole being the north, or the top and Greer being on the right, what parking are you talking about?
Okay, with
Yeah,
that,
sorry.
I do better with the pictures.
I think she's talking about the Greer.
Is she talking
The Greer, the parking pads are on Greer. They're on Greer.
Okay, I don't think they're gonna be allowed to even use parking pads. They'll just have to use the street.
Okay,
So
and
they won't be hanging over the sidewalk.
That's really an
That
issue,
helps.
parking on the street. That's the issue with that parking on the street. I know it may be something that's legal, I don't know, but it's not right for that neighborhood. And I'm not saying, it's just not right, it's not safe. I'm going on the safety issue.
And are you saying it's not safe for the neighbors or not safe for the cars?
Oh, the cars would be fine. I'm
Okay.
saying for the people that has to go around those cars to walk on the sidewalk, because if they're gonna use that parking pad within that dwelling, they're gonna be hanging, those cars are
No,
gonna be hanging.
there's not gonna be a parking pad allowed on the dwelling.
Well,
They'll only be able to allow to park in the street.
there's 2 parking pads there.
Well, there's 2, okay. So currently, right, where it says drive cut in front of the ADU, that's where the parking pad currently is. Now, as conditioned, they cannot have a parking pad, but in theory, they could still have a curb cut as long as it went either to the bottom of this drawing, if they can get a driveway 20 feet behind the front facade there, or in the middle there, but they'd probably have to demo whatever that is on the rear of the 1-story house to get a driveway there. So if you wanted to make it so they couldn't do any of that, you would just say like no curb cut can be allowed off of Greer Street. But currently as conditioned, those 2 options do exist.
So with that being said, her issue with on-street parking, am I correct? You're concerned about on-street
Well,
parking?
I'm looking at, still got children that has to be picked up, go to school. There's still buses that come through there.
Okay.
And my thing is, I'm looking at the safety of the younger children that's still coming through there. If they're coming, because children walk from Greer, they walk down Greer to the bus stop, both ways on Greer. They're gonna pass that building. They're gonna pass that building. It's not safe because if it's gonna be street parking, they've gotta walk, those little kids gotta walk by those cars by themselves.
So if the suggestion wasn't, and didn't mean to cut you off, if the suggestion is that they have an option to add a driveway, at what would be the bottom of diagram, and then somewhere on the property, that's adding more parking on the site, which would eliminate some of the traffic that you're concerned about on the street.
Yes, now that it is a driveway on Seminole. It's kind of covered in grass. It's a driveway there, so really it's two drives. It's one on Greer with two parking pads, and it's one on Seminole, but it's covered with grass. But I know it's there. I see it.
Right, so if they're, if that's eliminated, and they have the one on Greer, and then they have another one on site, that's, we're gonna say two additional, not necessarily on Seminole, but two additional parking areas to this site to eliminate the on-street. Would that help with your concern with the volume?
It might help my concerns,
ma'am.
but we just need something. I'm thinking of the children that's there, and I'm all for continuous improvement, but let's be safe because we have to live here. I have to live there.
Yes, ma'am.
And I see those children. I used to sit there at the bus stop with them until the bus came. I sit in my car with them until the bus came. So I know that, and it's still children, that these are great-grandchildren now.
Yes, ma'am.
And I look out for them.
Okay.
And I just don't want them in any danger because of a new build that's too big.
Yes, ma'am.
And it's not all the other variables, it doesn't appear that they were taken into account.
Yes, ma'am. Okay.
That's
Thank you.
all. That's all.
I want to clarify, but you're wanting to keep the sidewalk clear and not have the car overhang the sidewalk?
We need that sidewalk, so those children, those are young children that don't have, sometimes they
Right.
walk by themselves, yes. So they will have a clear path.
But you're not concerned about a car parking on the street next to the sidewalk?
Well, I would like it not to be that way, but I might.
But that's not the
But that's-
concern.
that's-
So that's,
I might
it's just
not-
keeping that sidewalk clear.
We
so
need to keep that
kids-
sidewalk
Okay, understood.
clean.
Could we not just provide parking in the site? And remove, yeah, I mean, I think that's one of the conditions almost anyway, right? What is what Jeffrey was saying?
Is it an issue, like, is it already illegal to park over the sidewalk? Isn't that, like, that's a...
Yes.
Like, you can be ticketed for that. Okay. All right, any other questions for Ms. Ray? All right, thank you so much for
All right,
coming
thank
down. We
you.
really appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, anybody else here in opposition? Okay, we'll move back to the applicant.
We'll do whatever it will take in order to get this approved. As you can see, they're pretty far into the project. And as far as on-street parking, that's fine. If we can park where Jeffrey had pointed out, we'll do that. And we'll definitely it'll be in the lease that they keep the sidewalk clear. And we know that we will definitely keep the sidewalk clear.
Okay.
We know that we'll be cited if it's not.
All right, any other questions or comments? Okay, all right, thank you very much. All right, so if we can get a motion to approve BOA 2026-39 as conditioned by staff. So moved.
Second.
All right, any discussion on specific driveway language if we need it? I mean, part of me thinks you already aren't supposed, like I know people do it, but it is illegal to park over that sidewalk. So if somebody parked there, you can call the police and they'll come and ticket them. Does it make sense to put a condition that any lease will contain a rule not to park over the sidewalk?
Please,
I mean-
no. Because then we would have to,
Yeah,
we
yeah,
would
yeah,
somehow be responsible
Right.
for something we don't have any idea about.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think I agree.
Does the curb cut exist?
Yes, currently there is a curb cut there that would at least, it would at least need to be partially closed if they decided to go
That's what we need to
with.
condition, is closing
the
off
other
the curb cut.
Well, I guess that depends if you wanted to allow them to have any access off of Greer Street to do on-site parking, which is, if you, could we pull up the site plan?
Yeah.
It looked like maybe the most logical would have been right at the very bottom, a curb cut there, and then parking to the rear of or the bottom of this drawing, the rear of the ADU.
But isn't there, there's property behind that, right?
Well, yeah, anything, they couldn't do anything south of that property line. But we think that might be just enough width to get a driveway in.
I see what you're saying.
So they'll pull into the curb cut, come all the way around to the south and adjacent to that building. That's what you're saying?
Well, the curb cut would end up being straight. Like where the curb cut is now, you couldn't have it like start in front of the house and then pass around
So
the
you
house.
just move it down to the bottom of the.
Yes, you'd move it down so it was straight.
And pull straight in.
Okay, gotcha.
Could we condition on there should be no curb cut on Greer other than a curb cut at the furthermost southern property line, going no further north than the edge of the building?
You could do that if you want to be explicitly clear that that's the only spot where
Right.
it's allowed.
I think I'd like to do that.
Yeah.
And I don't think I want another, I think they get one.
Makes sense?
Yeah.
What if they decided to get rid of those little structures in between the buildings? I mean, theoretically, curb.
How about this instead? There will be no curb cut on Greer. How about there will only be one curb cut allowed on Greer, and any curb cut cannot be.
Or any curb cut must directly access.
It can't be beside the buildings. It's got to be in between the buildings. I'm trying to think of the best way to say that.
You don't need to say that one because the code already covers it. Because that's why I was saying, like, imagine that where the curb cut is right now,
Yeah.
and then it S around the building. Any part in front of the building, we would say, well, that's a parking pad because it doesn't go straight back.
So by default, it has to go straight into a parking spot.
Yes, because it has to extend 20 feet beyond the front facade unless it goes into a garage or a carport. So by S-shaping it, you would
And that
be in
side
violation.
facade is considered a front facade on the second building.
As the way we conditioned it, yes. We conditioned it to make it clear. We were like between the building and the street,
So we
essentially.
can just say there's only one.
Yes,
curb cut.
you could say limit, they could, at most they may have one. That way, whether they do it or not would be up to them.
And could we say any current curb cut that lies directly east of the building needs to be closed?
You could say all non-conforming curb cuts shall be
I like that.
closed with, now I'm forgetting. Curb, gutter, and sidewalk.
We've said that. Yeah. So could we have a friendly amendment to add the closing of the curb cut, as the secretary just said, and then only allow one curb cut?
One conforming.
Conforming curb cut on Greer.
So moved.
Okay, so that's been added. Any other thoughts?
Second, I was
Second.
just
Oh,
going to
thank
second.
you. Okay.
No more thoughts.
No more thoughts.
Okay, with that, if you're ready to vote, if you'll give us a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Love,
Yes.
Ms. Conrad,
Yes.
Mr. Claybrook,
Yes.
Mr. Campbell,
Yes.
Vice Chair Stavage Selden.